not lost. You're just a little stuck. The good news is you're here looking for answers. So you're on the right path. So the fact that you're watching this video means that you're not lost, or at least that feeling lost is a good thing because it landed you right here. And the good news is that I'm going to give you the top 5 reasons you're stuck and give you answers on how to get unstuck. So let's dive into it. Hey everybody, welcome to Rewired Experience. Today we're going to dive right into the top 5 things keeping you stuck in the suck and how to break free. Some of these things are going to seem pretty obvious, but hopefully I'll give you some actionable steps today to break free from being stuck in the suck. Let's dive into it. So number 5, this is the number 5 reason that most people are stuck in the suck and can't find their way out is they say one thing, and it's, I don't have enough time. And you're going to notice here when I'm going through these, a lot of these things are things that we verbalize, right? Things that we talk about or how we frame certain things. And this is a big one that I hear all the time. I'm overwhelmed. I don't have enough time. I couldn't get that done because I didn't have enough time, right? Here's the reality. You've got to reframe this, first of all. You really need to start looking at it like, how do I find the time or how do I make the time? So this is a strategy that I use, and it's called automate, delegate, and eliminate. And so what I do is everybody has the same 24 hours in a day, right? The difference between success and failure is how you budget your time. And if you're not intentional, then you're wasting time instead of creating it. So this is the way I break it down in order to be intentional with the things throughout my day. Okay. Now, every stage of life has a season where you're evaluating whether you want to automate, delegate, or eliminate. Okay. So for me, what does it look like to automate? I'll give you a couple examples in 3 different categories. So what I'll talk about is I'm going to talk about my family life. I'm going to talk a little bit about my business life. And then also I'll talk a little bit about specifically how it plays into getting physical results or my personal health. So the first example that I'll give you guys in terms of how to automate something in my personal life, my kids every day work off a checklist. So one of the things I hear a lot of parents complain about is, oh, I get my kids up, they won't get out of bed. I got to get them dressed. I got to make their lunch. I got to, all this stuff. Either that or you're on them to do it the whole time. And so you're not getting anything done. So in the background, my kids are getting all this stuff done in the morning because they follow a checklist. And that's something that over time we program them to do, right? So they wake up first thing and they start following a very simple checklist, which is make their bed, brush their teeth and hair, make breakfast, make their lunch for the day, right? There's this whole checklist. And we even made a little song that goes along with it. And I would sing that song to them. I don't have to sing the song anymore. But if you ask them, they'll sing it back to you. So I created a system. I created a system that automated a daily task so that I could get some things done in the background and I didn't have to stay on top of my kids. They're 7 and 11 now, but they've been doing this for, the last 4 years. The last 4 years, they've been working off this checklist, pretty self-sufficient. Now, not that I'm much more likely to have them make their own lunch than mom is, right? Mom likes to make their lunch for them. So on her days, they still follow the checklist though. Maybe they don't make their lunch, but for the most part, they're following that daily checklist. So this is a way that I was able to automate in my personal life and give myself some more intentional time to where I can focus on other things, whether that's my business or personal growth, or maybe even my fitness. Sometimes I'll get a workout in while they're working their checklist, right? So I'm working out, they're working their checklist. Maybe I'm doing some online business stuff like scheduling my day, scheduling appointments. I run social media for a couple different businesses. Maybe, any myriad of those things. Sometimes right now I'm in a phase of learning. So I've been doing a lot of training courses on different things. So maybe I'm watching some of those training courses while they're working their checklist, right? I get up, I get ready, all my stuff's done. Like The only thing that would hold me back is if I was still doing all that stuff for them, right? But now at 7 and 11, they're on autopilot. They really are. There's very little oversight that I have to really hover over them to make sure that they get done. I do a little what I call, combat checks or combat inspections at the end when they're done, just to make sure, check the checklist, make sure they got everything done. But for the most part, all I have to do is review it, right? And just make sure that they got everything done. Hey, did you brush your hair? Did you brush your teeth? Hey, did you pack your snow pants today? There's 4 inches of snow on the ground. Little things like that that I definitely check in with them, and I had to do a little bit of that this morning. So anyway, that's the way I automate in my personal life. Now, automation in business, it's pretty easy. There's a lot of different automation tools. I say it's easy. They're recognizable, right? AI can leverage and help you do a lot of things and automate text messaging, email systems. There's a lot of different things that I utilize on a daily basis in order to automate my business, right? In my fitness, I use AI. I leverage AI to make my workouts. I use a Whoop tracker, and inside the Whoop tracker on the app, I can literally tell the AI based on my strength score to build my workout based on where I am in terms of my recovery for that day because it's tracking my biometrics 24/7. So, just another example. There's lots of ways that you can automate within your many different areas of your life, right? And with modern technology, holy moly, we can automate a lot of stuff. But here's what I'd warn you about. You can't over automate. So just be careful about that. So how do I delegate? Well, obviously, in business, that's an easy one. Again, you're going to hire somebody to do some of the more, I say meaningless, they're important. It's not that they're meaningless. They're maybe just not where you are better focusing your energy, right? Maybe they're not revenue generating things. I can think of some things where I'm like, sometimes I'll spend too much time trying to get the perfect graphic for a thumbnail on the YouTube video or some advertisement for one of the social media platforms we have for one of our businesses. And I'm just sitting there scrutinizing and going over and over because I'm a bit of a perfectionist, but I'm not really necessarily an artistic person. So it doesn't ever have the look that I want, but I know what I need it to be. And it takes me a long time to get it there. So that's something sometimes that I'll outsource and I'll go on Fiverr and maybe I'll hire somebody on Fiverr to create some thumbnails for me or some backgrounds or things like that. It's really pretty affordable in terms of the time that I would spend actually doing it myself. And it turns out pretty good most of the time. And so that's just a way in lots of different ways in business that you can delegate. Now, obviously, you can hire people, personal assistants, lots of things like that. You can also do that in your personal life. So, personal assistants, that transfers over into your personal life. You can hire a nanny, and maybe they're not there taking care of your kids all day. Maybe they are there doing a certain task. Right. One of the things, whether we like to admit it or not, a way that we delegate a little bit with our kids is they go to school, right? Like right now, my kids are at school. I'm recording podcasts. I partner with my kids' schools. We send them to a private school, they get a great education. And we truly do get to partner with their educators. And they view us as the primary educators and they're there to support us. And so to me, that's a form of delegation, right? Like we probably would homeschool our kids if we weren't entrepreneurs, to be honest with you. So I think that's just a form of delegation that you probably use every day in your family life. But there's lots of different things where I delegate things to my wife and she delegates things to me where we are operating within our strengths and within our gifts. And so sometimes when I'm evaluating whether or not something's a good use of my time, I think, man, is there a way that my wife could do this? And she does the same thing. She will come to me and say, hey, there's this thing. It's just not really in my wheelhouse. Can you take a look at it or maybe take it over? And we'll discuss it and we'll go from there. And so you can do that in many different areas of your life. There's just a couple areas there where we're able to do that. And this gives us more time. This all goes back to taking that 24 hours that you have in a day and maximizing it. So here's the other thing, eliminate. So I'll touch on this later on. So I'm not going to go too in depth here. One of the things, really what this is just cutting out unnecessary activities or commitments in your life. I'm going to talk in the last two that I'm going to talk about, or a couple of the other categories in our top 5 things that are keeping you stuck. I'm going to talk about, we're going to come back to this. We're going to come back to this eliminate thing and we're going to address this. So here's a bonus. This is one, actually took that concept from another leader or thought leader in our space. His name is Craig Groeschel. one of my former pastors, and my wife actually used to work for his church full time. Wonderful leader. And this is a mantra that I've heard him, or framework that I've heard him utilize multiple times, is automate, delegate, or eliminate. But here's a bonus: consolidate. Here's something that I do every day that buys me more time in my day. I consolidate tasks. Now, there's certain things, be careful, right? Like, I'm warning you, this is your warning or your disclaimer, if you will. You can overdo this. They can over consolidate, right? So be careful where you're applying this. But for me, for instance, if I am at the gym on the treadmill, I'm getting my cardio in, or I'm working out, I'm lifting weights, I always have a podcast in. I have a podcast or an audiobook, or I'm listening to some kind of coursework where I'm trying to learn something, right? Now, granted, I may not pick up on everything that I need to retain during that, but I definitely will retain some of it. Here's the other time I consolidate: while I'm driving. I I can listen to things while I drive. I'm either going to listen to music that doesn't really serve me most of the time, or I can learn. I can listen to something where I'm going to learn. And then the other place where I typically do this is while I'm eating. So not when I'm sitting down to a meal with my family. That's not what I'm talking about. Most of the time I'm eating on the go, and I'll have my earbuds in, and I'll listen to a podcast again that's educational, or listening to something that's either personal growth or possibly teaching me a new skill or whatever. So some of the coursework that I listen to, read, things like that, there's videos. A lot of times I don't need the visual. I can just listen and retain it. So that's your bonus. You can consolidate different things. So while you're doing something, I'm driving. Okay, what are you doing while you're driving? I'm driving. Can I listen to a podcast while I'm driving? Can I listen to an audiobook while I'm driving? Can I listen to Rewired Experience while I'm driving? Yes, you can. And if you listen to, don't comment while you're driving, but comment, hey, I was driving when I was listening to the podcast. Like, you're going to have to get back on your phone. Don't do it while you're driving, please. I don't want any calls. If anybody having any accidents while they're listening to Rewired Experience. So let's jump into number 4, the number 4 reason that you are stuck in the suck. And again, it's the way that you frame something. It's something that you say, and it's, I don't have enough money. The first one was, I don't have enough time. And the second one that I hear most of the time is, I don't have enough money. Why does framing this way keep you in the suck? Saying something like, I can't afford it, is a mindset that shuts down possibilities. So money has never been easier to make in today's side hustle economy than I can remember in my lifetime of 50 years. But it requires a willingness to prioritize sacrifice, right? And that's where most people suffer. That's where most people can't get it done. So for me, I get it. Things are more expensive. Yes. I'm not going to make that argument that even when I bought a house when I was 22 years old, buying a house now, you got to be leaps and bounds in terms of income from where I was to accomplish that goal in life. Things are 10 times more. So I don't even know what the math is, but I get it. And if you're going to tell me things are so much more expensive, that's easier for you to say, Kyle. I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to agree that things are so much more expensive. What's way easier? Making money. Making money part-time in a side hustle is way, way easier. And I'll tell you why. When I was a kid and I wanted to sell something, I had to take out a newspaper ad. We called them a classified, and that's where people sold stuff. There was no Facebook Marketplace where I could go, closet clean out, and we clean out our closet and sell stuff for bottom dollar. I couldn't just throw stuff on eBay or Facebook Marketplace, or that was not a thing. If I wanted to sell something, or like a product or a service, even not even something that I could have a garage sale, but even to advertise my garage sale, I would have to take out an ad in the paper, put up signs, go. People literally used to do this thing where they would staple flyers to a telephone pole. I don't know if that's still a thing, but we totally would do that. So now you can pretty much just sell whatever. If I got to make $500, I sell something to make $500. It may be something that I value. Maybe I don't want to let it go. But here's the thing. If that investment really matters to you, I have this conversation all the time with young entrepreneurs that need a little bit of an investment to get into what their real dream is, right? To be an entrepreneur, to be a business owner. And I'm like, hey, you probably need only about $500 to get started in that. And this is how you do it. And they're like, I don't have $500. Well, go freaking get $500. Like, how hard is that? Don't and they think they gotta trade time for money all the time. It's not even that, right? And even if you do that, you can Uber, you can DoorDash, you can do all these little things in the side hustle economy, right? To sock away a little bit of money. But here's the thing, you're gonna have to be disciplined with that money and you're gonna have to put it towards the investment that's actually gonna give you a financial return. That's gonna give you an ROI, a return on your investment. So if you're planning on if you have a goal, you're like, I need $500 to make this investment. I need $1,000 to make this investment. And look, guys, I've done that before. I've sold stuff to invest in something that was going to give me a return. I have a really good friend who's a multimillionaire that is there because when the market tanked, he sold a car and put it all in stocks. He sold his car to take that money and put it all in stocks while the market was down, right? Then the market went up and hey, lo and behold, it paid off. I have another friend that sold a car to get to a business seminar that changed his life. And then he was a 1% earner. It's crazy. There's always a way. Now, sometimes you got to balance it out. Maybe there's somewhere else I'd rather invest my money, right? Maybe this is going to give me a better return than that's going to give me. And sometimes we make those decisions. I've been in that place too. And so what I'm saying is that there's always a way that you can make the money. So instead of saying, I can't afford this, try saying, why can't I afford this? Or how can I afford this? Those are the two questions you really need to be asking yourself. So instead of making a statement that's a limiting belief, let's ask ourselves a couple questions. How can I afford this? How can I make more time? Why can't I afford this? What are the behaviors? So there's lots of different things that you can do to get yourself to where you have enough money to get yourself out of the suck, right? So that is number 4. Counting down to number 3, one of the main things that people do is they're saying yes to the wrong things. What do I mean by that? Every time you say yes to something meaningless, mindless scrolling, binge watching TV, or then you're saying no to something meaningful, right? So if you're saying yes to the wrong things, then you're saying no to the right things. Because now we're talking about time again, right? Now you're not budgeting your time. Maybe you're not budgeting your money because you're saying yes to things that cost money instead of yes to things that you're investing money in that are giving you a return on your investment. Success is about intentional yeses and intentional nos. You've got to make sure that you are saying yes to the right things and not the wrong things. So the number 3 reason that you are still stuck in the suck is because you are saying yes to the wrong things. Audit your daily habits and figure out, what am I saying yes to? Am I saying yes to distractions or am I saying yes to opportunities? So say yes to the things that are actually going to grow your business or your relationships or build skills or your fitness, your health, things of that nature. So what are you saying yes to that you should be saying no to? Like I said, one of the biggest examples that comes to mind is people say yes to binge watching Netflix versus investing their time in something that's going to actually give them an ROI, where they could, I keep saying ROI, return on investment, right? That's networking or maybe even just spending intentional time with your family or a freaking hour in the gym. And here's another thing you could do. You could consolidate binge watching Netflix while you're at the gym. You could be on the treadmill and just, make a deal with yourself, but you're not going to binge watch unless you're moving your body, right? There's a way to consolidate. There's another bonus tip for you from Rewired Experience, right? So here's the number 2 reason that you are still stuck in the suck. And it goes along with the other one I said. You're saying no to the right things. You're saying yes to the wrong things, and you're saying no to the right things. Why is this keeping you stuck? Because opportunities are knocking, but you're too focused on busy work to answer. Or you're too busy wasting time to answer. Every time you say no to the things that truly matter, you lose an opportunity to grow. Period. So here's what I would recommend. This is a rewired experience strategy. Learn to say no to distractions and yes to opportunities that align with your goals, that align with your passions. What are you passionate about? That's where you should be investing your time. That's where you should be investing your money. That's where you should be saying yes and not no. That's where you should be saying no to the things that are keeping you away from that are keeping you from your passion, from your purpose. Purpose is your driving force, your why, your asthma. That's what you need to be saying yes to. Those things are what you need to be saying yes to, not all of these other time wasters. You can delegate or automate tasks that don't need your direct attention, right? Find a way where you can say no to the things that aren't serving you and you can say yes to the things that are. An example of that is even in my personal life. Think about how you can delegate in your personal life. Can you hire somebody to mow your yard? Can you hire somebody to shovel your driveway when it snows? I'm up north, so that's a thing. But that's what I'm saying. These are the things that are important. So, like for me, sometimes I'm a private person, I'm an introvert, but that doesn't serve my business. So sometimes I'm saying no to a networking event or something when I should be saying yes. And I'm saying yes to things that aren't necessarily building my network. And building a network's important to building a business. Don't skip something because you're comfortable doing something else. Make sure you're saying yes to the right things and you're saying no to the wrong things. So here's number one. This is the number one reason that you are stuck in the suck and you can't get out. Listen up, take notes. This is it. When you ignore all these other points, then you're stacking losses every single day. You're losing confidence in yourself and the people around you are losing confidence in you too. You feel like a loser because you keep losing. But here's the truth. You're not stuck. You're not stuck because you're incapable. You're just stuck because you've chosen not to act. So here's the Rewired Experience strategy. Stop stacking L's and start stacking W's by applying the first 4 strategies that I gave you. Reframe, I can't afford it, into how can I afford it? Reframe, I don't have enough time, into how do I create more time? Say yes to the right things and no to the wrong things. Take consistent action every day, no matter how small. Start stacking those W's, and then you'll start to believe in yourself. You'll get more confident. And that could be little things. Show up to the gym, do an hour-long workout, right? Check one thing off your to-do list. That's a W. Start stacking those W's. Be consistent. Don't do them one day and not do them the next. You got to do them every single day that you build trust in yourself and others build trust in you too. And that builds confidence. And then you're winning. You're winning every single day. Start with a small win. Delegate a task. Eliminate one distraction. Or say yes to a meaningful opportunity. But each win builds momentum. I'm going to wrap it up there. Take a knee, drink water, reshoot your Erasmus, and Charlie Mike. The truth is, you're the only one responsible for getting out of the suck. Nobody's coming to save you. You have the power to stop stacking losses and start stacking wins. But it starts with a decision to stop making excuses, to stop saying, I don't have the time or I can't afford it, and to start asking better questions. When you feel like giving up, remind yourself why you started. Your legacy is on the line. Your family is watching. Your future self is depending on the decision you make today. Here's my challenge to you. Pick one thing from today's episode and take action. Don't wait until tomorrow. Start now. And if you're ready to take the next step, go to rewiredexperience.com and download the free Take a Knee PDF. It's your first step to reclaiming your time, your confidence, and your purpose. Because at the end of the day, it's not about how many times you fall. It's about how many times you get back up. So Charlie Mike, let's stack some W's together.